everybody, I'm Cinnamon Cooney, and today I'm going to show you how to paint this fabulous painting with no brushes. So this is going to be a lot of fun today. It's going to be really easy. It's going to be friendly to all media, and we've got a special twist. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hi, guys.
Now, normally we come to you in this format live, but thanks to net neutrality today, we can't because we can't seem to get any internet for that. So we decided, let's just do our usual thing and bring it to you and upload, because you know what you can't stop? You cannot stop artists. And so I know how much you guys want to do this project, and we were like, nothing's going to keep us down, and we're bringing it to you today.
Yeah.
It's a brave day. This is a completely crazy experiment that we're having. So you see this fabulous wreath. I told you guys about this. I told you how easy this is going to be and how multimedia friendly this is going to be. And let's talk about our materials like we always do. So over here, I have my 9x12 canvas, and we have wishes on this canvas. On this canvas, we have a wish from Melissa to have a happy, safe, and healthy pregnancy and baby. We have a wish from Sarabella, healing and wishes for all dealing with losses of loved ones over the holiday. Jody is wishing love and strength and support for her friend who's going through a very dark time medically. And I love this wish. Rita is wishing that her grandson, Micah, who is hearing impaired, he's going in for a job interview, and she's hoping the people that interview him see his amazing heart and how capable he is, and that he gets his job. So we're pretty excited about those wishes. We like those, and we're not going to let not being loved stop those going out in the universe.
Absolutely.
So I've got this here. This is the 9x12 canvas board. You could use stretch canvas or acrylic paper. And over here, let's just get going with our project. Now, these are the materials that I'm going to be starting with. I've got my paint out. I've got burnt sienna, yellow ochre, Mars black, titanium white. And I have a Born Old kitchen sponge. It's just a little square kitchen sponge with no scrubby. And I'm going to get it wet. And I'm going to wring out the extra water because I just want it to be damp. Damp, 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 damp. And my first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it in half.
I'm going to adjust that camera over there while you're making that cut.
Okay, cool. So, see, just like live. So I've got this sort of cut in half. Maybe not as square as I would like, but it's basically cut in half. I also have a pink sponge. So I've kind of done this before. I'll take my pink sponge. So cut in half, regular sponge. And I'm going to add to my palette my titanium white, my Mars black, my yellow ochre, and my burnt sienna. Now, you can do this with craft paint, right? Soft body paints. Paints that aren't like heavy body paints where they hold their shape, right? You can do this with heavy body paint. This kind of thinking and project is very friendly to the different kinds of media. That was a plug too, but I say no, I keep going. Nothing stops me. And my Mars, we're like, no, we're going to be live in some capacity, in some way, no matter what. We cannot be held down.
Well, it's really great. We had almost 300 people here as soon as we turned on the camera. So yeah. Everybody's ready here. Gail was here. I saw Ian. We were chatting. So yeah, you can keep going. We're
just keeping. Oh no, I wanted a sip of coffee because on lives I get coffee.
Yeah, it's true. You do.
Pre-recorders I don't, but on lives I get coffee.
And normally I would say, like, don't forget to go check out for all, like, in the description below for all the materials list. Right?
That's right. In the description below, if you open up the more, you're going to see all the materials, links to our website, and information about where you can get products. So you don't have to worry about any of that. But again, remember, this is anybody can do kind of project with just stuff that you have around the house.
It's a you can do project.
It's a you can do project. So here's my sponge. It's slightly damp. It's not soaked. Like if I squeeze it, it's not dropping, but it's slightly soaked. Damp. And I'm going to start loading it. And I start my load by taking the sponge to the edge of my paint here. Woogie, 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 woo. Here we go. So see how that looks on the sponge? You can see it sort of in the cellulose. Now I'm going to come with the corner. In the other corner, and I get a little bit of my burnt sienna. See how we go? Boom, boom, boom. And then a smidge of my black, and that makes a little streak. And then I like to get some white in there. So this is sort of the little mix that I'm trying to get, and I love sort of dabbing it around. You can see how it looks. And here's what we do. We're going to turn our canvas horizontally. And this is just fun and easy, and I'm going to just drag my sponge horizontally across my canvas. And I'm pressing in pretty hard with my fingers. And what I'm trying to do is get the paint from my sponge onto my canvas. I want my streaks. I'm going to reload because I'm running out. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to get more yellow ochre. and a little more burnt sienna. See how that's on there? Some black, not too much, and then some white. I'm going to come here again and drag across horizontally. This is the easiest wood grain I think that you can do in art. It doesn't have to be perfect, and don't overwork too much. Definitely flip your canvas. If your sponge starts to get dry, take a mist bottle. I have my nice micro mister here that was given to me by you guys, but you're just wanting to dampen the sponge a little bit with that, right, as it starts to dry out, and then continue to load. So ochre, sienna, a little bit of black, and some white. And then again, just come across, letting all of this streak. You want this beginning of streaks. Now you can do a stroke back, or you can even do a stroke forward. You just don't want to do so many back and forth that you take away your streaks here.
Yeah. So that was something that I know that people were asking about in previous sponge videos. Was, you know, a lot of times they end up getting like a solid color of brown.
Yeah, and I think that's just the overworking. Like I can demo it here and fix it. So if I were just to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, see how it starts to take away the character?
Oh, yeah.
That would be too much. So you can work it a little bit, but if you take it too far, you'll lose it. But I'm going to put it all back right now, so it doesn't even really matter. So I've got my little sponge here. And I'm going to load up again. I'm going to start with my burnt sienna and some yellow ochre, a smidge of black.
And can you show the bottom of the sponge there when you get it loaded? Yeah. Go over to the palette cam. We'll make sure we get a good...
Oh, yeah. Let's really look at that. So you can kind of see the load. It's mostly in this area. Right?
Yeah.
And this is all you've got to do. Now my pressure is going to be lighter. I'm not going to be pressing in. But I'm going to smoothly connect my sponge to the canvas and just drag across. See?
Yeah.
And that's going to start putting my wood grain back.
Nice.
Now, sometimes I like to put a little black on this corner and a little black on this corner. Get a little of my ochre and sienna in the middle. And then when I come here, I can kind of tap like that. It blends it out.
Yep.
Get a little bit of white there. Because we want the wood to be a little bit lighter so that our wreath can really show up. See, I'm just dragging this across, and every time I do, it just makes a little bit of a wood effect. You can, again, drag both directions, and you can flip. There's some white, maybe some ochre, and a little bit of black this time. Didn't even grab a sienna because you can do that. See how it just so quickly becomes wood?
It does that. Your brain just sort of turns those little streaks into wood texture.
It does. It does. It's super fun. And then you're like, woo, I just took a little bit of white and I'm just dry brushing a little bit of white there so that the wood has a little bit of an age to it. And my trick here is just to be horizontal. Once I have this in, I'm going to rinse my sponge out in my bowl. Right? If you're at all allergic to any paints, you definitely would wear gloves for this. Right? But I'm using products that are pretty non-toxic and then I have no allergies to, so I'm not too worried about that. All right, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to let John hit me with some stuff, and I'm going to dry the canvas, and he's going to talk to you a little bit while I do that.
Oh, okay. So let me see here.
Fun times for John.
I think I can find the mute button. Oh, so like normal, what I'll say is, hey, guys. Now, normally this is the part where I'd say, wow, hi, thank you for so many of you being in the room, but I can't see all of you now. So what I'm going to say is thank you to each and every one of you, each individual person who has come here today to join us to paint with us, because this is not our normal community. This is just us, you and us here today to paint. So thank you for coming and painting with us. And we appreciate it just as much as we do when we have 500. We like being here just with you today.
And we're just not going to stop no matter what is thrown at us.
Yep.
That is our whole thing. So I have the other half of my pink sponge, and I'm going to sketch a leaf shape on this. And the reason I'm doing this now is I need the little corner bits for some of my detail painting. And this is just the best place to get them. So say across here about 1 inch of this is going to be flat. And then I'm going to take this and bring it to a point. And this is going to be the shape of my poinsettia.
Oh, you're making a little stamper shape.
I'm making a little stamper shape. And, you guys might actually already have one of these around.
This is the first time I've actually seen this happen. So
I have a bunch of them. I have been testing this idea. Oh, that's a good piece of sponge right there. You're going to want to keep that.
We're all like, not the fingers.
Oh, no, it's okay. Is that really a worry?
Well, of course, we don't want you to cut your fingers.
I can get safety scissors if we need them. So I like to kind of trim here and make sure that my leaf shape is sort of nice. I'm going to also make sure that I sort of rinse this out before I use it with my paint. And once I have this, I'm going to put this to the side. But what I really want is one of these little bits like this. These are all really good little bits, and I put them in my little bit bowl.
Oh.
I actually got this started where, honey, for reasons I'm not entirely sure, my eldest daughter cut up a sponge into teeny tiny little pieces. And so all my kitchen sponges were in teeny tiny little pieces.
I remember that.
And I was like, what can I do with all these sponges? And I was like, I bet I could paint with them. And that sort of kicked off this crazy idea. And I've been working it out since then. So I've got a T-square here, mostly because I don't make great straight lines. And I'm going to take my canvas on its vertical, and I'm going to divide it into thirds.
Now, I remember you saying that if you didn't have a T-square, you could use like a paper towel or something?
Paper towels are square.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So that perforation on paper towel, if you like fold it there, that whole line, it's actually a very good square in a pinch.
So you can line
these
the
are
edge up.
super inexpensive, but that's a thing that you could do if you can't get these. Now I'm going to just, for my own well-being, just kind of put in this chalk line here. This is simply so that when I come back to do the next part of my technique, that I know where that is. And I'll give you some alternative ways to do this as well. So I've got my canvas divided into thirds. That's working out pretty well for me. And the first way I'm going to show you how to do this, I'm going to take my little corner sponge and I'm going to get it damp, not soaking wet, but damp. And can you see that sort of cool sharp edge that I have here?
Yeah.
I'm going to load it up with my black. Load, 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 load. Load, 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 load. Little black paint.
What are you making with this?
I'm going to make the wood lines.
Oh!
I'm going to use my T-square. You could take a paper towel and line it up square here too, or you can put tape down, low-tack tape, to keep your line edge. And I'm going to just sort of pinch my little sponge, and on its edge, I'm painting with it this little black line. Can you see that? It's rough. It's, it's not perfect, but we want that because this is wood, and this is what you're looking for. Now, if you get a little boo-boo, you flip the sponge in your hand, and it's damp, and you can come back and correct little bits very easily. Can you see that there? So
yeah.
This is not something you should feel at all stressed about. And remember, wood has character. So it's good for it to have a little edge and a little character and a little something going on. You want that. I'm going to load back up with my this corner sponge is just like the best thing ever. I can do trees with this thing and do flowers. I'm like, where have you been all my life, little corner sponge? So I'm going to just drag this out here, and you can see how my T-square, your folded paper towel, your tape, allows you to maintain sort of a straight edge. There we go. Nice little sponge. If you press harder, the line gets thicker, and if you press lighter, the line gets thinner. Kind of just like your brush. And again, I like that rough, rustic look. It's good if you remember to take a little bit of sponge while your paint's still wet on your tool and clean it. If you don't remember, cool home hack is that you can use rubbing alcohol to get the paint off your T-square or other things in general.
And you can use that gel hand cleaner sanitizer too, huh?
Uh-huh.
And one of the spare bits of sponge that you might have laying around.
It's like they all layer together and become a new thing.
It's a self-cleaning project.
It's a self-cleaning project. Speaking of upcycling, I have another upcycle that I like to do for this project.
Okay.
And here's two choices, and we'll talk about the size. So I have here, you've seen me do this for the spray paint video. This is a big, you know the big cans of peanuts and nuts? This is one of those little lids, and I made a tape handle. And this is one of my kids' dessert plates. And these are about the same size. And I like to use these on my canvases because they are a good size that I find is useful in a lot of projects. They are trying to get 6.5 inches in diameter. Is about the diameter of both of these. I'm going to use my awesome peanut lid. I'm going to place that on my canvas. I need to have some room at the top for my wreath to clear so that I can add Christmas bulbs and kind of balls and some wreathy stuff. So you don't want to be up here. You want to be a little bit down. Make sure you've got, about a hand's worth of give there. Because even as you trace, that goes up a little bit, right? So you need room for both your poinsettia, which is down here, and all the little wreathy bits. And you just want to use a circle so that as you're stamping, you're kind of holding the shape. Isn't that wood grain nice, John? Oh, yeah. I really like it.
I really like it.
Now, I mentioned I was going to demo different kind of textures of paint and everything, and I meant that. So I'm going to put out some of my carbon black, but it really just matters that it's black. And see how this is soft compared to this?
Yeah.
So this is like craft paint. So if you're using craft paint, don't feel weird about it. Totally works here. Totally ideal. And I'll even put out some heavy body to show you how you can use these together. When I say this is a very forgiving project that really lets you work it out, I mean it. Now, next tool I'm going to use, these are listed in the description, is sea sponges. And you find these in packages generally with a couple of these, which are fantastic for painting also. And there's a bunch that look like little chicken nuggets. And then there's a bunch in there that are generally sort of a spiky finish. Like this and this. Both of these will do the wreath or tree textures or any of the textures we've got coming up in any future products. I really love this super light spiky kind. But either will work. Same thing. You get it wet. You squeeze out the excess paint. Definitely wash it out when you're done or you'll end up with what I have here. Find your little best fluffy spot. And you're just going to tap up and down with this tool. See how I'm tapping?
Yeah.
And it's coating these weird little ends. I'm going to get some black in there to darken my green because this is the under, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is what we're doing underneath, and we want it dark. Now I've got some nice dark green happening here. And you're going to come to your wreath. Now you don't want to come too far up here because you're going to run out of room, and you don't want to come down too low. So it's best to do your first little bit where you're right on your chalk line. You can make it interesting and uneven, but you definitely want to use that as a guide or you can just get crazy. And see, I'm just tapping. And the little thing makes this sort of little leaf pattern, which is super fun. I'm going to get some more paint. Tap, 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 tap. I'm loving it.
I remember you saying it was important to not repeat the pattern if possible, to try to make it so it doesn't look the same.
Yeah, like you wouldn't want to go like, see how that wouldn't work?
Yeah.
You need to sort of be random. Random, random, random. So that it feels like it's from something natural, because nature sort of is random. All right, I'm going to load up with a little more because I like a nice dark base for everything to build up with. It helps it seem very full and complete and real. Already, I hope you're sort of tickled pink with how easy and fun this is.
Oh, yeah.
And I like it when little bits sort of kind of are in this outer edge because it feels like little plant bits hanging out, if that makes sense. Just make sure this is dark here. Oh, excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So see how that's looking? Already it's pretty wreathy.
Oh, yeah.
It's got some wreathy bits to it. I'm going to load up my paint here where it's more in the green than the black. And I'm even going to come over and get a little of this yellow ochre that I've got around and add a smidge of white to it. So we should be right about there. And this is another layer I'm going to come in just very quickly. Tap around to add depth and texture. So notice I'm not like, it's not real solid. I'm not like working an area like a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't look right, does it?
No.
No. You got to kind of spread it out, which is one of the reasons we had initially wanted to do this live. I'm rinsing out my brush right now. I'm rinsing this out. You'll notice in the description on my cadmium colors, and honestly, you can use any yellow that you have or any reds that you have, that I put hue or free, and that's because I'm using my hand so aggressively in this. And therefore that, see my sponge right now just happens to be a little bit green. I have a second water bowl just in case the pigment was overwhelming my tool set. And I can get this right back to clean with a little soap. So I'm going to put out some cadmium yellow hue. Hansa yellow works. Just any bright yellow like this is a good option.
You're using a natural sea sponge there, right?
I am using a natural sea sponge, and you did some research to make sure that that was not an ecological problem.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we did a little bit of research. We went out there, and it's like we can't call we didn't call a bunch of universities, but we did go out there and look at it, and it seems that most of these are harvested by hand, and like a plant, they're just sort of pruning a tree, and they leave the root system in place, so they regrow relatively quickly.
Yeah. So, because that was a concern, because we want to tell everyone to go get sea sponges just in case we were going to like do in sea sponges.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I'd have figured out how to tear up a little house sponge to death.
Yeah, and as it turns out, it actually may be helpful because they're all hand harvested and they give people jobs.
Yeah.
So it may be a good thing.
It might be a good thing. We think it might be a good thing. So this is again phthalo green, and this is cad yellow. This is the soft body, so this would be like craft paint. I'm just demoing some different textures so you guys know, hey, whatever I have probably is okay here. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tapping of my green. Tap of green. And I'm going to tap it into my yellow here, and you can see that brightens it right up. And this is hue, so I'm not even worried about that, right? Got that. So this is quite a light mixed area. Can you see how that's like some white, some yellow, some just personality?
Oh, yeah.
And this is the success of the wreath. You can do this on anything. You could do this on cupboards. You could do this on canvas bags. If you are just up against the wall for last minute gifts, this is a thing you can do.
Oh, yeah.
You can do this. A little more green on that one. And see, it's okay to get a different load every time because it just adds character to your project. And you'll see me tapping a bunch of times just to make sure there's some dispersion. That's the thing I've kind of figured out that this needs is a little bit of dispersion. I'm putting some of my bright green out. And you could see how that hand runs away real quick, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And that room for that flower goes away real quick. That's a weird thing, but that's true about this project because your wreath kind of grows. Now I'm going to put this sponge in some water and try to get the paint out of it because I don't want paint to dry on it again. I don't really enjoy that experience. And I'm going to dry my canvas where, again, John will get to talk to you. And I'm drawing right now so that I can put my poinsettia in and my reds stay really red and bright and don't gray out from the green. So it's good for you to dry at home. Mm-hmm. And John will talk to you while I'm drying.
Okay. All right, guys. So don't forget that this is one of many holiday projects that we have available up on TheArtSherpa.com. And so if you go over there and check it out, it's going to be in the link in the description below. There'll be a link to the website and this project page. And that project page will bring you to things like the reference photo, traceables if we have them or if they're necessary. This is one that doesn't really require much of a traceable. It would just be sort of a circle. So, I don't know that maybe we'll do one for it. Who knows? Just crazier things. But the big thing is that we want to make sure that you guys know that we put resources up there for you guys to be able to have in case you need them. We don't want you to... you there?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure I got the audio back. Yeah, I was just saying we put up all the resources there on the audio on the website so that they can find things.
Oh, it's
materials.
This is going to continue. I'm going to have you landscape painting with a kitchen sponge. You are going to be tripping everybody in your life out. I'm on a mission here.
Now, on our scale of 1 to 3 hoots, and we call them hoots because they were owl hoots in the beginning, but on our difficulty scale of 1 to 3, How difficult is this one?
Half hoot.
Is it a half a hoot?
Half a hoot. I give it half a hoot.
It's a half a hoot. So anybody
I feel
can do
half
this.
a hoot. I'm going to move my palette around so I have some more room.
Okay. This is definitely anybody could do it. Little brushes.
This should be your whole family can do these, and that these are skills that maybe I would even hope you build on.
Oh, so you got the cool cut one out now.
I got the cool cut one out now, and you can. When I said I have a bunch of these, not kidding.
You've been experimenting.
Yeah, I just want to be like, can we? What can we do? Believe you, I have to tell you, we can do anything. Wait till we do an oceanscape with wave. So this is Alizarine Crimson hue. Whatever red you're using, what you want is a dark red that kind of reminds you a little bit of blood. I'm going to put a little of that out. I really like this color. If you paint with me a lot, you know I do. And again, this is soft body, so this would be the equivalent of like craft paint. This is not. This is a lot of pigment and it's really wonderful, but this would be what that would be like. This is Cadmium Red Medium hue, and this is a very bright red. This might be closer to what you think of when you're thinking of like Christmas red.
Yeah.
Right here. And you'll notice I put them pretty close to each other. And the reason I did that is I want to create a double load on this sponge. Which is sort of fun. So you can see I'm holding in here. You can, I'm going to trim here. What I'm going to do is, the reason I'm trimming is I want a nice point. I'm just making sure I've got a nice little point.
Okay.
So I've got that there. I'm going to put this ink side down and I'm going to tap up and down. See how I'm tapping up and down?
I see. You're getting like, I wasn't expecting you to go that way. That's neat.
So now I have some dark at the bottom and some red at the end here. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come right, if you even want to, you can make a chalk mark. You have chalk, which I had chalk. So much chalk right here in the center saying this is my point I'm rotating on. Take your brush in your hand or your sponge, because there's no brushes. Take your sponge in your hand and sort of tap it down. And you're going to notice it's going to leave some holes. So I like to wiggle it a little bit, just a little bit, because I want the point of the flower to sort of be there. And I'm going to come next to it, and I'm going to, right over this, lay down another little flower. And I'm going to kind of turn it. And this is the thing. I have to turn it to get the result I want. But I do wiggle it. Can you see how I'm kind of just wiggling my hand back and forth? What this does is this gets rid of some of the bigger holes. And remember, you can use the tip of this
as a blender.
Yeah, to create nice edges. Right? Because what you want is nice edges.
Now, if you didn't get that green underneath there dry, you could.
It would go really gray. Could I what?
It would end up like, you know, and pulling up the paint from underneath there and getting.
Yeah, it would just start to really take the vibrancy out of your red, and you would feel very frustrated. You're like, what is going on?
So you'd have to really make sure to dry the color underneath.
Yeah.
Now, if you're using
the tip
paint,
of my sponge to smooth some of this out. I'm just trying to complete my little flower here.
Now,
going around.
If you're using student paint, would you want to paint white underneath this?
You know, what I would say is, as you're painting, if your pigment load is very light, you may find this requires a couple coats.
Ah, okay.
And I'm just trying to go around and make sure that my flower, you know, is nice and central. Every time you cut these sponges, depending on the thickness or the narrowness, it will impact your poinsettia, right? So I've got this here, and now that I have this here, I'm actually going to let this dry for a second, because I'm going to do some finishing work on that makes this look very flowery.
Mm-hmm.
But to do that, I want it to dry, and also I want to put in my Christmas bulbs while I'm waiting.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to put this aside. Looks kind of crazy right now. Don't worry. I'm going to soak my sponge so it does not get away from me. I've got my little triangle I used earlier somewhere. I just need a little triangle so I can do detail work. Now I'm going to get out my Pouncer. So these are now out. I'm so excited about that. These are Pouncers. Pouncers are round sponges that you can use to make shapes, do stencils. They have a huge amount of purpose in crafting. And these particular ones are my Pouncers. So they have a little hole in the back so you can get the sponge out to remove it. And it's got this nice little concave, and they're have this plastic handle so that they are very stiff and firm for you. But look, there's a lot of Pouncers out there in the world, and any round sponge, if you had to, you could cut out around from your kitchen sponge.
Yeah, you just make a round piece from your kitchen sponge if you needed.
Just make a round piece. I'm going to put out some phthalo blue.
But those are nice because they're easy to clean. They have a little consistent stuff.
Exactly.
So
I really like them for that reason. Now, I could use this white, I could use this white, but I don't want to get any color in it, so I'm going to put out a little of this white. And again, my point is that it works with either paint. So you can mix and match what you currently have in your paint box. And I'm going to use my middle-sized sponge, which is about 1 inch around. That's the size I'm using for the Christmas balls. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go right into my blue and twirl. See, I just went right in there and twirled. And I am making sure this sponge is coated. That's what I'm checking for. Once I have that nice coating, I'm going to come here to the white. And I'm going to stamp in. See how that little bit there?
yeah.
This is the magic secret sauce of shading these balls in one stroke. So I'm going to pick my light source, because wherever this light spot is, that's where we're implying there's a light source. I'm going to plant it, twist one way, twist back. See how I'm doing that?
Oh, yeah.
One Christmas ball. I'm going to come right up here.
Ooh, that's pretty clever.
Always keeping my light source in the same space. And come right like, let's come put one right here.
Magic Christmas balls.
Magic Christmas balls. So I'm going to come back. I'm kind of running low on paint. So first I'll get a little of my blue on there at the back now. And then I will stamp back into my white. Add it like you do. If you need to give that one a little highlight, you can do that really easily. It's got a little friend right here. Oh, that's nice. Get a little more white as you're going. This works with any of your colors, so you can really use this technique for so many projects. I love sharing techniques that can do other things for you guys, so it just builds and builds and builds. Trying to keep my light source kind of in the same space, so I'm always loading my white kind of in the same area and my blue kind of in the same area. And making sure that I'm keeping the light source that I'm showing where I want it to be. So I'm pretty happy with this arrangement of Christmas bulbs as we have it right here. You can add one, you can take away one. That's pretty set. Definitely either wash this out right away or make sure this is in water so the paint doesn't dry on it. And if you wash it out really well, they'll stain a little bit, but they're absolutely perfect and they'll stay good for you for a long, long time. So I'm going to put this in where my other sponge is and make sure that that pigment is not settling in there. All right. Once I have that, I get to actually take my bunches of Q-tips. So these are these are cotton buds actually, because this isn't a Q-tip brand product. These are cotton buds or ear swabs, or they're called a bunch of things, but generally they're used for cleaning your ears. You don't want the ones with a sharp point. And I have found that some of the off-brand ones are super fluffy. And you have to mouth size them. So this is a beauty kind. And these are also, the cotton is wound very tightly. And I'm going to put out a little of my dark red and my light red again.
It was like you raided the cleaning aisle to get your paint supplies here.
You have no
Q-tips
idea.
and sea sponges and kitchen sponges.
This is only the beginning. All right, so I'm going to first come into my dark red. This, for me, this is my Alizarine Crimson. For you, it's whatever dark red you chose, right?
Yep.
And I've got my three bundled together. You can see they're all about the same space. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to add a little cluster of berries. Right? Because that's very festive. And it's just a couple of taps. Tap, 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 tap. Tap, 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 tap. And we love it. How you doing, babe?
Great.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm glad we did it this way because it was really frustrating to have the live just not happen again.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad we persevered. And art's like that, I think. You've just got to persevere when things get weird. Tap, tap, tap. I'm going to come here and add some. You just kind of are looking for spots you think you'd like little pops of red berries to delight you.
Now, if you're just joining us and you're wondering if this is live, it's not.
Yes. It just sounds like it. And that's what we're going to do till they fix it.
That's right. So
Because we're not going to let you guys suffer.
Yeah, we're gonna broadcast, even if we have to broadcast alone.
Alone. In the world. Oh, there's my little pink one. Looking for that little corner. I love the little corners. I'm just rinsing it out, making sure it's clean.
But you know what the best part about putting me into this part of the show is? Your show gets more of exactly what it needed.
What?
More talking.
Oh, we're going to hear about that. That's fine, though. I don't even mind. I'm ready for it. While all this is drying, I have fished out my little corner that I liked so much.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get this little part. I'm going to sort of pinch it. See how I'm pinching it together? So that I have control over my edge here. And I'm going to kind of detail work out my flower. My poinsettia. I'm going to come in. And just sort of draw in the petal shape. I might even bring it back here. But you can kind of see how I'm doing that. Like it starts to give it some firm, solid line. You know, I was reading this thing, John, on like the cave painters and their methods of cave painting and how they got pigments and how they used impossible things and the complicated techniques that they used. And when those first paintings were found, nobody believed that they were real because the art techniques were actually pretty complicated. They had kind of like a makeshift little airbrush tool that would do nice dispersions of pigments through straw. Probably didn't taste good. The nice thing about red ochre is it's basically iron-infused dirt.
Oh, well.
You know, so probably almost good for you. I don't know that's true. Don't just go eating red dirt.
Probably shouldn't just go eating dirt in general.
So this is the stage where I can sort of, you know, refine it and make it feel really finished and special. You know, it just gives me a nice result. Nice result. It's good to get out of the box of what you think you have to do in art and start looking at what you have the opportunity to do in art. And they can be as weird as they want out there in the world. I'm going to bring some red through here. But we are not going to quit or give up. Now, while this is all still like this, I'm going to go right into my Alizarine, my dark red. I'm going to make sure that I kind of just talk a little bit about each of these petals, just a smidge. You can do either tapping or strokes. Either one is fine. What you're trying to do is give this a nice shape, a nice dark center. Right? So it feels like a poinsettia. I'm leaving my little red lines that are helping define the petals that we are seeing. This isn't that different from the poinsettia that I painted on the channel with a brush.
Oh, yeah.
Not that different. Probably do that poinsettia with a sponge now.
And you can find that in the link below because there's a link to all the Christmas paintings.
That's right.
So you can find any
So you
of
just
those.
use... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
So it's just like a regular live.
You're teaching, I'm just talking.
But I love it. I'm just making sure this is pretty and I'm happy with it. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to take this time and make sure you're happy and you've got a little flower. Don't be a perfectionist about this. This is sponge painting. It's about an overall feeling or technique. Now I'm going to want that to dry again so that I can, and if I have to, I'll get the hairdryer out, but I can do the highlight on my bulbs and the highlight on the berries at this time. So it's perfectly fine to just let that rest and dry. These are not really soaked with the red anymore, so I can use the same side, or I can flip it. Because I always do my Q-tips and bunches before I start. And I just use those weird little rubber bands they sell at the drugstore. So I'm just loading up, again, 3 little guys. I'm going to come where I put my crimson, and I'm going to add a highlight. And I'm going to actually use my Christmas bulbs to decide where that is and kind of put it on the same side. Like you do. And isn't that nice how they sort of pop?
Yeah.
The two tones really make an extra difference. You can do wood furniture like this. You can paint anything that takes acrylic paint. You could use any of these techniques on tons of different products. Now I'm going to take another one of my weird little sponge corners that I have. I'm going to get it wet because my water bowls are sort of full of pigment. Let you guys, I mean, like, and when I say full of pigment, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I just got this moist with the mister, and I'm going to load it up with, on this side, this is my cleanest cut here. This has too many little fluffy bits. And I'm going to pinch this so I have control over it. A little bit of this white that you have. And I'm going to come on my Christmas bulbs, and I'm going to just make sure that I'm tapping in a bit of a reflection. Now they have it already, but this just finishes it off. I'm just trying to be like on that edge so that where I'm putting the reflection, it's like all the same. Isn't that nice? And kind of try to take it right to that spot there. You can use this as a, you know, to stroke. You can anything that you need to. And now I'm going to take that other side. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to get a little blue. Right? And load that back up and just make sure that I've got that little blue shadow kind of worked out. Doesn't take a lot, does it? Now they're very, very round. If you lost anything that you needed, you can always just put it back at this stage once you've got your little highlights on. Look at them all highlighted. Pretty fun stuff. Now last thingy. I'm serious. It's like we've already wreathed. You ready to wreath?
Yeah.
You take your last little bunch of round Q-tips and you just tap right into the yellow here. I'm going to make sure this is dry. Oh, it's dry enough. Alizarine can be a bit shiny, so sometimes it's hard to tell when it's hit its dry point. And you're going to come right into the center of your flower.
Oh, wow.
And tap that in.
Wow.
Now, huh?
That just came together.
Isn't it? So we would have done this live together if the internet would let us, but we just cannot, you know, quit doing our thing because the internet's having a moment, and we're going to keep persevering as we promise. I am going to kind of cheat a little bit.
Oh, yeah?
Because I'm going to sign my name with the brush.
All right.
I'm getting in my water, and I think I'm going to sign it, I think in this particular case, with a little white and yellow. I'm going to put it in the corner kind of discreetly over here so that I have my nice finishing mark on the work, but it doesn't disrupt the piece. This is all you need to do to be making tons of holiday wreaths. You're going to be able to mix and match the colors. We're going to continue using these techniques in the future, so these tools that you have will have lots of opportunities to come out and play a little bit. I hope you found this relaxing. I know we did. Actually, I feel better now that we've done this. Yeah. I hope this is letting you de-stress from your holidays. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and I'm going to see you at the easel really soon. Bye-bye!